Hope everybody had a good weekend out there. All my blue collar workers, all my YouTubers, just at the weekend jobs, doing my little thing, getting this money. So a little bit tired today. So I've been kind of thinking about this YouTube channel. Like most time, I think most y'all know I just be freestyling. Like I just be talking about things, but try to get a little bit more serious with it and start taking some notes of things so I can kind of have a little bit more talking points. So I'm not just rambling. So hopefully I can get some information across. So I had a guy yesterday reached out on the comments and asked me a question if I can make a video about something. So something I don't really have a lot of knowledge about, so I'm just going to speak to what I know and how it is, what I've seen up here. So I might not be right about everything. This is just what I've seen from my own eyes and how it works up here. So it might be a little bit different. So he'd asked me about making a video about basically about getting laid off. So there's a couple things. So when you're a journeyman, you can drag up. Now, what is dragging up? Say if you're at a job site and you don't like it, there's something, maybe you ain't getting along, or you just don't like the work, whatever. You can just leave whenever you want. If you be like, hey, I don't want to do this job no more, you can drag up, go down the hall, get on the list, and they'll hook you up with another contractor. As an apprentice, you can't drag up. So how do you end up getting moved? You don't just stay with one contractor. So with my logo, with 539 at the end of your first year and at the end of your third year, if you haven't been laid off, if you haven't moved contractors, they do an automatic rotation. So I'm actually coming up on that. I was kind of hoping I won't get rotated just because I already have a weld insert here. So there ain't no guarantee that they're going to rotate me somewhere else where they'll have to give me a weld test so I'll get welder's pay. So I could end up taking not necessarily a pay cut, but I just wouldn't get a raise for fourth year because I'm already making fourth year wages. So here's the thing about layoffs. I really don't have a lot of experience. Most of the contractors I've worked with 3 contractors since I've been an apprentice in the last 3 years. So the first contractor, I was with them the whole first year. They rotated me at the end of the first year to a different contractor. I don't really want to put that contractor out there and name their name, but basically I was open to it. I'm like, whatever, it is what it was. I was in a good situation at the first contractor, but they wanted to keep me, and I was learning stuff, so I didn't really want to get transferred, but I didn't have no say in the matter. So they transferred me to this other contractor. They put me in the fab shop. I'm like, okay, maybe this will be all right. We'll see how it is. Well, during this time, it was summertime. There was a lot of work at the time up here. Like, there was overtime all over. We had travelers coming up getting overtime on school jobs. So I'm thinking, like, I ain't got school. It's summertime. I'm gonna make a bunch of money, work a bunch of overtime. I get transferred to this contractor. They're like, oh yeah, we ain't had no overtime in years. So I was like, man, this is terrible. So I part of it was me probably having a bad attitude about the move and not being able to reach the financial goals I was hoping I would get to. So I probably had a little bit of a bad attitude. So I go to the fab shop. I wasn't feeling it. The people that hired me there, the lady that hired me there, she wasn't even a pipe fitter. She wasn't union. She was like one of the office people. She got my name wrong. When I first got there, she was calling me something else. Then I get my first check. They were still paying me first year wages, and I was the second year. When I brought it up to him, the lady was kind of disrespectful, like, oh, well, it says you're a first year, so do you have any papers showing you're a second year? Well, I gave them that paper when I got there, and they said they needed to keep it. So I basically had to threaten to call the hall. I'm like, well, look, I'll just call the hall. If they'll straighten it out. And then they came correct and ended up cutting me another check and fixing it. So it kind of put me off to a bad start with that contractor. So I was in the fab shop for a while. I was telling the training coordinator, like, look, is there any way I can get transferred? Like, I'm not learning nothing in this fab shop. Like, I know how to operate all the machines in here because I got a mechanical background. I used to work like this. And basically, I was kind of getting a runaround on the transfer. So they finally ended up sending me out to the field. Didn't really have a great experience. I had the opportunity, some of the foremen from St. Paul was trying to they found out I'd be TIG welding on the weekends. So they're trying to get me to take a weld test so I could TIG weld on the job. And General Foreman, he put me on hole watch instead for a couple months. So I wasn't learning nothing. I was basically just standing at the top of a hole, making sure that the guy that was in there was okay if he needed anything. Like, that went on for months. In the meantime, they had another apprentice come and let him weld, but they didn't give me the opportunity. So I started telling the foreman at the time, like, look, I'm not going to do anything wrong. Like, I'm going to keep working like I always do. Like, I'll stay working, but Like, this ain't for me. If you need to lay anybody off, if you get to a point where it gets slow, like, you won't hurt my feelings to lay me off. Now, here's the thing about when you're an apprentice, you can't drag up. You can't really ask to get laid off. Like, you can ask, but I mean, they're not necessarily going to do it. So from what I've seen is that usually you got to understand, as an apprentice, like, you're pretty much cheap labor. So you're going to do a lot of the grunt work until you turn out, because you're cheaper. So they're not going to pay a journeyman scale to do some of the minor details that they can have somebody that makes less money. So they kind of utilize you in that specific way. Now, if they lay you off, it's my understanding, just from one other guy I seen get laid off on my job site that's in my class, and I had talked to the foreman about it a little bit, they got to write you up and have a reason why they lay you off. Like, they can't just lay off an apprentice for no reason. They have to have a reason. So anyway, let's go back to the other story. I'm with this contractor. They end up switching me to another job site again, downtown Minneapolis, right by my house. I was there for like 2 weeks. We were hooking up temp gas, and they're almost done with this project, working under a different foreman. I got along with him great. It was fine. I was working. Everything was good there. He ends up coming give me my check one day. And he came gave me, usually they come give you your check. It'd be like on a Friday or whatever. It'd be like, I don't know, maybe like noon, 2 o'clock, something like that. But he came early. He came like right before 9 o'clock break. And he was like, man, I feel bad about this, you know. I'm like, man, is that my check? He's like, yeah. He said, I tried to talk him out of it, but, you know, they were saying whatever happened at your last job, the last work site you were at, they were saying all kind of bad things. That you didn't know nothing, you were lazy, you weren't a good worker. And he said, I stuck up for you. I said, he's a good worker for me. And I was like, I already knew what it was. You know, they were mad because I wasn't happy with the situation. I had made it known that I didn't really want to be at that contractor. So I didn't take it personally that they were saying these things. I didn't really understand the process that they have to write you up either. So that ended up being beneficial to me getting laid off. I was happy about it. I had school the next week, so I wasn't going to work the next week anyway. So I went and got on the list right away. I ended up leaving my lunchbox and everything. I was out of there. I went down the hall, signed up on a list. They said they had an opening coming in for a welder. So that's what I was trying to do anyway, so I could take a weld test, get paid higher wage. So it ended up working out for me. Now, there's probably something written up somewhere saying these bad things, but that last foreman I was working for, he had told me, he said, look, if anybody says anything, here's my number. Tell them to call me. I'll vouch for you and say you're a good worker for me. So that just kind of goes to the fact, like, the people that you work around, like, you really want to try to make a good impression with them, because if something happens like that you get laid off, your reputation is going to follow you throughout your career. So if you got a career that you're not a good worker, that's going to follow you. But if the people that you actually work with don't see that, they see that you're a good worker, and somebody writes a bad report on you or something, like, you're going to end up working with these people again at some point in time, or you're going to come in contact with them, or somebody they know they call it the telefitter. It's like, it goes around. Whatever the rumors are, they get around. Word gets around. So if you got a reputation as a good worker, even if you get a bad write-up or whatever, like, if you got a good reputation with all the people you work around, you really don't have to sweat that too much. You're gonna get on another job, and you're gonna make connections. So that was kind of just my little thing. As far as I mean, that was the only time I was ever laid off, so I really don't have no other experience with it other than that. But that's kind of what was good for me, was finding out later that, if you get a write-up for getting laid off, like, if there's people on your job site that's still going to vouch for you, and you can have them call them and ask them if they got any questions. It's always good to build that reputation, man. And there's going to be times when you get laid off, and it ain't layoff can be for multiple different reasons. Like, it ain't necessarily going to be because, like my situation, I didn't want to be there. I made it known. Like, I wasn't going to be a bad worker, though. Like, I wasn't trying to get laid off. I just let it be known, like, hey, if you got to lay somebody off, you ain't going to hurt my feelings. Like, I know there's a lot of work right now. And that was how I went about it. And it might have been the right way. It might have been the wrong way. It might have been partly my fault that I had a bad attitude and didn't really give him a chance. But I just felt like that wasn't for me. And it turned out in the long run, it was all for the best. The move was the best for me that I could have made. I made a lot more money. I ended up getting to go and weld, and I've learned a lot more at this contractor I work for now. But layoffs come for different reasons. So when a job starts winding down, like every day you go to work, you're working yourself out of job. Most of these jobs, they have a specific end date. So when the job starts getting winding down, or even the wintertime, like say if we got a bunch of outside work, well, in Minnesota, it snows, it gets cold in the wintertime, so they start winding down the amount of people on the job because they don't have as much work inside. They're going to start laying people off. So you can't really take it as a negative. I think kind of they usually will try to keep the people that they like, or if you end a job, they might not have no more work for an apprentice, or they might have just a bunch of small jobs and they need people to have certain experience in certain things. So it's going to happen at some point in time. You're going to get laid off. It is what it is. You just go down the hall, put your name on the list. You can sign up for unemployment. Hopefully there's a lot of work around. You can get back out there right away. So that was kind of what one of the guys had made a comment, asked me to talk about that situation. So I'm probably not the best one to talk about it because I haven't been laid off a lot. Like I've only been laid off once. And that was kind of something I had been asking for. So anyway, man, that's just my little say for today. Hopefully this video is a little bit, give you a little bit of information on that, which you might not know, or whatever. And, man, I appreciate all the support, man. The channel's starting to kind of get big. We're starting to get some numbers up. So if you appreciate the content, like, subscribe, comment. If anybody got any questions, if you got any ideas of what you want me to talk about, if you got any questions about, a situation you're in, or how to do something, like I always try to answer all the comments as fast as I can. And if it's something that I can make a video on and that'll help more people than just the one comment, like I'm always looking for ideas, man. I just want to help everybody out. Like at the end of the day, this is all about you. It ain't really about me. So hope everybody had a good day. I'm gonna eat this little burrito I got out the vending machine, and we'll see what I can do as far as writing up some little notes, little ideas, so I can try to stay on track on a subject instead of wandering. I know I tend to wander a little bit, but for you guys that's already been watching my channel, if you like to wander, and like I'm gonna still be me, so I'm gonna be all over the place. But hope everybody having a good weekend out there.